know where the treats at.
Is this the passing of the torch, right? Is this what this signifies?
It comes down to that front office and what they feel is most important.
The champ is here. We've touched down from a higher plane. Why you landed here?
We always look forward to that week because it was always intense.
You know that we ain't coming back. We about to.
The man, the myth, the legend, Dante Hall. My favorite player growing up was Dante Hall. I love you guys in the show, but Dante was my guy.
Get to dashing because you done on the Warfield.
This episode of Chief Concerns is brought to you by BetOnline.AG. BetOnline would like to wish you a happy new betting year as we continue our march to the playoffs and beyond. BetOnline remains the number one spot for all the best sports wagering action for 2022. New year and a new updated desktop and mobile website to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code, and that's BELIEVE, BLEAV, to get started. From football, basketball, hockey, boxing, and UFC, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for 2022. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts. Welcome to another episode of Chief Concerns. I'm Marcus Dash, and tonight we have a unique episode with former linebacker Kawika Mitchell coming on, who played for the Chiefs from 2003 to 2006. And then he ended up going to the New York Giants to win a Super Bowl. And then after that, he ended up going to the Buffalo Bills from 08 to 09. Kawika is obviously has a unique perspective to talk about from the Buffalo Bills angle, as well as the Kansas City Chief angle. But we're going to get into all of that in divisional weekend right now.
I haven't seen JD since I left Kansas City, I don't think.
And JD always late and can't never get his stuff situated.
Of course, he's got to fix his hair, man.
There he is. Hey.
JDZ.
JD, you on or what?
There he is. On, man. Come on, man. Yeah, I'm on. What's up?
He had to brush the beard and fix his hair, make sure everything was good. I know.
Yeah. Look, we got his laid to the side. I see you, Week. I see it. Now look.
Yeah, man. Try to get professional, man.
Right. See, it hurt my heart when we cut his hair when he used to rock the long hair too for a long time, man. Now he ain't got it, but I'm still glad to see that you still got some up top though, Week. You know what I'm saying?
I'm sitting all right.
I got that convertible, man.
Had it for a while, E.
Yeah.
It'll work.
Well, man, we try to have fun on here. We've had Freestone last week. We had Coach Jamil on. We had Dante. BJ came on. T-Rich. Willie Rowe. We had a shit ton of people on here. So it's just fun, man. And we asked a few questions about the upcoming game. So
cool, man. Mm-hmm. Sounds good.
But first, we want to know what you up to. Where you at? You said you're in Orlando, so.
Yeah. Oh, man, I'm in Orlando. We moved back down here around 2010. We were in Atlanta before that. So just wanted to be close to the family. I got my son, my oldest, is in college. He's a freshman in college down in South Florida. Yeah, I got my daughter is a junior in high school. Then I got a 4-year-old.
Oh, he's still working.
Yeah,
Get it in.
We should have had 8 though, man. Really, we should have kept going, but
that should have had 8.
Yeah, I think we should have had 8 kids for sure, man. Yeah, I had a little village.
That's that old family tradition, man. You look at folks back in the days, they had like 10 kids, and that's normal. Yeah. You look at somebody nowadays, they got 4 or 5 kids, they consider that's a lot of kids nowadays.
Yeah. They still wouldn't be doing anything around the house, so they'd all 8 be lazy. So I'm kind of glad in a way that we didn't. But yeah, we had a 4-year-old man, and he's a lot of fun. I get to spend a lot of time with him, and I'm pretty much I went back to school. I'm in school right now. So I've been, I've coached. I've owned a business. Owned a gym here for a little while. Sold that, and really just keeping busy with the family, man.
What you do? What level? So you do college or high school, or did you do some intern with pro team?
I did an internship with the Jags 1 year, but mainly just high school. Yeah, I don't really want to be away from the family, man. So try to keep it simple.
You do that college and that pro stuff, they keep you there. You might as well just take your pillow and a sheet to the stadium.
Yeah, I saw that when I was with the Jags, which is cool. I like that, but it doesn't really fit my family. So I kind of stayed away from that. Yeah.
So who you going for this weekend?
Overall, man, I think. When it comes to this time of the year, man, you got to look at momentum. I think everybody. To me, that's one of the biggest pieces. Because there's very little separation when it comes to these games. And
we don't want your prediction right now. It seems like you don't want to pick the Chiefs. So we're going to get into a few questions.
Man, I'm getting there. So Kansas City's kind of been, everybody was questioning if they were who they've been in the past. I think they started coming on at the right time, and I definitely feel like they have more momentum going into this game, into the playoffs. Period. So I think the Chiefs will definitely win this one.
I like that.
Yeah, I think the experience will. Buffalo's hungry, man. That city's hungry, and they want it, and I'm sure the players want to get it for the city. But I think experience might take this one, but it's going to be a good game, though.
I agree. Man, respect for Buffalo, man. I think Josh Allen is a phenomenal quarterback, big dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're not taking him down with just no easy shot.
Yeah,
and he's able to throw a lot of passes that some of these quarterbacks in the league nowadays can't make. So, mad respect for what they're doing right now.
Yeah,
but they got a lot of weapons around them, and I know we'll get into it just a little bit more, man. I was talking to this guy last night. I went into Home Depot with my Chiefs. I had a Scully on. He said, "Oh man, I'm a diehard Bills fan." I said, "Oh, okay." I said, "So what do you think?" He said, "Man," he said, "to be honest with you," he said, "I think Kansas City is a good team." He said, "but he believes Buffalo's going to win." And I was like, "What? Tell me why you think Buffalo's going to win." And he said, "Because of their receivers, what they got, and of course Knox, the tight end, is a good tight end. But also he said their defense. He said it was going to uphold them." He said, "Man," he said, "other than Kansas City," he said, "what I know their offense is kind of a little rocky right now, and where they are defensively, we've seen what they did. Everybody kind of goes back to that Cincinnati game with Jamar Chase, with what they did to us at their time, and they kind of look at it, and that's what he was kind of looking at. He was kind of alluding to. He didn't really trust our secondary, being that well, being that good against their offense. And so I said, I tell you what, when I come back and see you next week, I'm gonna see which one of us are crying, okay? We'll see. We'll see where it's gonna end at. So
I don't want to knock on wood. Even if we don't win, JD, I don't want you crying. But
yeah,
I'm going to do crying.
Hey, look, I ain't gonna shed no tear.
But I believe I think we'll win it. So yeah. We'll jump into the segment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before we get into the Buffalo versus Kansas City stuff, I got a lot of questions in regards to that, or two questions on that. But so Sunday, obviously, we dominated the Steelers. Had a slow start in the beginning. But what were some of the takeaways from that game? I know Jerick McKinnon's breakout performance, first one he's had in a few years. Mahomes looked amazing from second quarter on. But what were your kind of takeaways from the game? Each of you guys on that one.
I'll let y'all hit it first.
When I looked at it, first thing I looked at, obviously, you want to talk about offense, and I'm a little bit of a defensive guy. So when I looked at the game, the Chiefs defense really stood up. I think the Russian had 29 yards. Harris had 29 yards or something like that. And leading receiver had 37 yards. and I think when the offense is clicking the way it was, obviously it makes it a little bit easier for the defense. But that's really what stood out for me is I think the defense showed up against a tough Pittsburgh team that can move the ball when they want to. But obviously they had some drops on offense that kind of helped the situation with Johnson. But overall, that was obviously 5 touchdowns from Mahomes was impressive, but the defense showing up was a big deal for me.
Yeah, I tell you what, just kind of talking about, Jared McKinnon. I've always been kind of a fan. I was really happy that we got him, all season, just because of his resume, what he was up in Minnesota. And then, of course, going out to San Fran and he ended up getting hurt. He's always been kind of an explosive guy. And so I think we was kind of texting earlier, Marcus. I was telling him, the thing is, it was hard for him to kind of get the touches, even with Dalvin Cook being up there. I mean, Jared McKinnon was somebody who was like a really explosive dude. And so seeing him out here, and he was a guy that I seen on the sideline when I went out to the game that was like always encouraging his guys. He would go down the line, just slapping everybody, talking to them, getting them up all the time. So his demeanor about him, I'm really happy that he was able to do what he did in the game, and I think he deserves it, man. He's been one of those guys. He haven't really heard too much as far as like him talking about the carries and stuff. Gore kind of came in, and then all of a sudden McKinnon gets his time, and then he shines. I've always said this. I always thought he was the best pass blocking running back we have on the team. I still believe that. So I just know he's one of those guys that's really explosive out the backfield. So I was really happy for him. I think he's going to still do well for us, throughout the playoffs. Offensively, just play calling in itself, some of the creativity that they was able to utilize against Pittsburgh, man, was phenomenal. Travis Kelce throwing a touchdown. I mean, it was just like then throwing to was it Algrady? Who's the one that caught the touchdown? The tackle.
Yeah, it was Algrady guard.
Okay, yeah, and so those things like that. I mean, that little shovel pass they do, it works all the time. It boggles me how they always run that shovel pass, and it's always successful. Like 2 or 3 yards, and it's just they for whatever reason because they just window dress it so well that nobody's able to pick it up. Like who they're gonna get the ball to. So obviously, man, they did a just tremendous job. And like Kawika said, defensively, I told you, man, the object to this game was stopping Najee. If you stop Najee Harris, then that's what you want to be able to do. If you do that, then you let Ben try to throw the ball around on it. It's just wasn't going to work. I think our secondary is good enough. They did a great job on defense. But, when you stop at run, stop Najee from turning loose on you, that was key to victory, man. That's at least for me. I was like, when you stop this guy, that was going to be a key to victory. So those are the things that kind of added, came to me, that kind of showed itself. But did a good job.
Yeah, to me, the running backs were hungry. I think that each one of them recognized that, they're not going to get a full game to go out and show themselves. So when your number is called, you make the most of it. And each one of them did that. And even outside of Williams with the fumble on the handoff, which is the touchdown that Pittsburgh started with, I think they all played phenomenal whenever they got in the game. The play calling, when you got to go up against a guy like Watt and how he disrupts an offense, you have to call plays to keep him guessing. Because if not, and you're just going to let him rear back and play one-on-one with your tackle, you're going to lose most of the time. So I like the play call to keep him guessing. Are we doing a spread offense? Are we doing back out of the backfield? What the heck is Patrick doing? And the rest of the offense. So I like how we kept him on his toes, even though he was able to get in the backfield a few times. Defensively, yeah, everybody stepped up. I don't think that Pittsburgh is the Pittsburgh of old. Well, I can't say think. Well, we know that Pittsburgh's not the Pittsburgh of old. There's a reason Ben is retiring. I don't really know why Juju came back for this game, thinking he was going to spark them to victory. But Juju was Juju, the guy that doesn't put up the big yardage from a, supposed franchise receiver. I think Claypool, it's Claypool. That's how you say his name?
Claypool, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he's taking that, taking over that job. So But we even managed to shut him down. I love the way Ward plays. Yeah, he's aggressive and he's going to get beat at times. But for the most part, he does a really good job for our defense. So, Willie Gay had a big play. Najee Harris hadn't had a fumble all season. And, he has one against us in a key game. So it was a fun game to watch, especially seeing all the points being put on. And it's just like, we kept our foot on the gas. We weren't going to give you a chance to try to come back. And so I like that. I love seeing, just, smashing the gas and just, continues to put points on the board. So, but, we got a nice one coming up against Buffalo.
Yeah, as far as the creativity, JD, I know we talked about it during the game. That I guess the drive where we had Hardman play quarterback with a direct snap, a little wildcat formation. I think at that point of the game, I think you and I kind of were kind of skeptical of that play call in that situation. I don't know. I was still right now. I think that was a horrible play call. Obviously,
but if it works, then we complain. I mean, it was just Williams wasn't ready for the ball.
Yeah, but look, I just say, and this is what I said out in the field. Look, it's one thing kind of getting it down, in the red zone, but out in the field where, you just give a Hardman, first time kind of, catching the football. Like, why? Don't even try something like that. You know what I mean?
But it wasn't him catching. It was more so the handoff, though, JD.
I know. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So to me, I'm like this. Look, leave it in 15's hand all the time. I mean, if you're going to do that, as far as like in the snap and whatnot, I just thought that it was just misguided, just making that call during that time. I think that's what was part of the problem.
Okay, so what about on the shuffle play? So what if McKinnon fumbles the shuffle? Patrick trying to hit it through there. So then we're gonna say, we're trying to get too pretty.
That's Pat.
But when it works.
So how many times? Well, all right. I was gonna say how many times we really get into Wildcat with Harmon back there. I mean, not that often. I'm not. Believe me, nothing against Harmon, but if I want anything, I want 15 with the ball in his hands every snap, getting the ball. Let him get the ball to McKinnon and all to Williams. Let him do it. That's what you pay him for. Don't look, McCall. Hey, you return punts. You catch a couple of these little fades, little slants. Take it to the house. Other than that, you stay out this backfield up.
So what about we put Kelsey in the Wildcat?
It used to be a quarterback. He was a QB.
Oh my God, you're so.
Yeah,
hey, but I'm biased tight end. I don't mind it. It worked. It worked though, right? It worked.
But you guys know, I mean, this offense, if it gets you off balance, and that's what it's designed to do. If the play is not successful, if it's not successful, it's still something you have to adjust to. Now, okay, they're going to put this guy at quarterback. He's a dangerous guy with the ball, so it's one more thing we got to look out for. So maybe it didn't work, but maybe in the long run it did. Maybe it was effective in the long run.
Yeah, Kawika, I say let's go up 2 touchdowns before you try it. You know what I'm saying?
But it's just like Kawika said, keep him on his toe, man. You got to keep him on their toe.
Hey, look, like you said, you got 15. Yeah, you got 15 at quarterback. So, if anything, you can always put the pedal down to the metal, man.
Right.
If you want to turn it up, you could always do that. You got guys that can stretch the field. And that shovel pass is a beast, and he's been doing that since Philly. And you do it that close to the goal line, you would think that there's not that much space, but like you said, they dress it up with the options. They can pitch it to this guy, they can shovel it to this guy, or he can run it.
Yeah,
and that's not fun. That's not fun to deal with. So yeah.
So let me ask you, Kawika, especially at playing Mike, how do you dissect that play in itself? You know what I mean? Like, what are you looking for? If you're doing a film study on a play like that, the shovel pass, what will be your key that you're looking at?
Shit, he's reading them line.
Man, it's it's coming. Like we would know it's coming when he was in Philly, and it comes down to responsibility football on the run. And when you're playing against the option, somebody's got the dive, somebody's got the quarterback, somebody's got the pitch. And that's really a lot to adjust to on the run, man. When a team is predominantly running option plays or doing some of those things, which nobody does in the league, then you can kind of prepare for that. But in a situation like that, you kind of know it's coming, but they're going to put a little kink to it. They're going to add something to it that's going to make this guy run out here and do something he's not supposed to do. And now we got what we want. So it's a challenge, man. It's a tough one.
So Kawika can do everything he's supposed to do in the book. Pulling guard come around, he go, spill that, or what do they call it? Spill, or what's the other word?
Hit him, whatever.
Hit him. So the thing
Spill
is,
the force.
if you let TJ come up the field unblocked, he's got the flare out. Either a back is going out to the flat and you throw that and you fake that pump out there. If he honors that, you got the back going up the middle for the shovel pass. If he doesn't honor that, you go ahead and throw that flat pass. So it's like we can say, everybody's accounted for. But when you let this one guy go free, he's sitting there guessing, am I going to take the flare out? Am I going to take the back coming through the middle? So now you got him guessing, and now you got an easy play.
Yeah. Stuff.
So our next concern kind of talks about, we talked about the Bills earlier. I guess this is something I've seen on Twitter. A lot of people saying that based on the way the games were played this week in Buffalo against New England, how they dominated that game was more impressive than the domination that we had with Pittsburgh, because we had a slow start. They kind of came out the gates and just put it on New England. We kind of took that first quarter, a little lackadaisical. But what would you say of the two matchups between New England and Buffalo and Pittsburgh and Kansas City? Which was more of an impressive victory?
I'm gonna go take nothing away from New England. Buffalo know that New England's a great coach team. They got some great players, but they also have a rookie quarterback. Really hasn't proved himself. So if anything, we're going to let Mac Jones prove himself against us. That whole run thing that y'all beat us with earlier in the season, we can shut that down. Everything else, Mac Jones, you got to prove yourself. Passing game, y'all don't have the greatest receivers. You don't have Tom Brady at the helm of this ship. So if Mac Jones beats us, we'll take our hat off to you. But that's the person we're going to stop. Let try to beat us. Buffalo, still, props to them. They got a good team. I can't sit here and hate and say that they're not. Good defense, good offensive line, a good quarterback, good receivers. They utilize the best of their team to the best of their advantage. I just think that with what Belichick has right now, he doesn't have a seasoned quarterback good enough to get him over the hump of a Buffalo right now. Ours was easier against against Pittsburgh, because I just think they kind of gave up after the second quarter. They stuck in there. We weren't really scoring neither side. And once Watt ended up getting that fumble recovery for a touchdown, we picked it up. That was it. Foot on the gas. And then, the real Pittsburgh of this year came out. It wasn't the Pittsburgh of old with Ben, scrambling and making big plays. So, yeah, both teams, us and Buffalo, had some easy wins, big wins. Didn't really have to show a whole lot, but we did. I think both teams made a statement that they're ready to play in the big game. But now these two teams got to go up against each other and prove who's a better team.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, without a doubt, Buffalo beating New England was a lot harder, more difficult. And here's why. You know how hard it is to play the same team twice because they're in the division. But you're talking about 3 times in the season? I mean, that's tough. I mean, really. I mean, that is tough to do. And so when you know the guy, you know your opponent so well with everything to do, their tendencies and whatnot. I mean, it's a hard task. And like he said, which is a great point. I mean, Matt Jones is he's a rookie guy. And so you can't put it on his shoulders. I mean, Belichick knew that. Kind of in the last game. He hadn't really had him really throwing the football that much. And what I've seen as far as what they weren't able to do, they just weren't able to generate any type of pass rush on Josh Allen. And Josh Allen's just he's a big guy. He's a runner. And the thing is, once he gets running with them legs, man, and same thing with Pat, if he gets flushed out, he makes those throws. That's difficult, man, to beat a team like that. And they got weapons. They do. They got offensive weapons. They got some good receivers, a good tight end. They running backs are starting to run hard down the hill, and they got a good defense. So without a doubt, that was a more difficult task in that game for New England. And I just say the same thing. Big Ben, he checked out weeks ago. Big Ben's known this is it for him. Matter of fact, when I said he was blowing smoke by saying I'm just going to go out there and have fun, I think he really meant it. He knew it was going to be his last game. He just was like, hey man, look, I'm just going out there and have fun. So this is going to be it for me. So hey, maybe he was for real on that too. He like, look, I'm done taking the vacation. I'm already heading on to Monte Carlo, wherever he goes for the when the season ends for it. But he knew that was it. He was walking this off. It was it for him. So no doubt about it, it was the Buffalo game. So
yeah, it's kind of easy coming behind you two. So yeah, I agree. When you face somebody 3 times in the season, it's gonna be a tough one. You know what everybody's doing. I will say New England, that had to be a harder game. Those guys seem to be coming together at the right time too. Slowly building throughout the entire season. Jones, playing better and better every week. And they were getting back to the Belichick formula where they're able to play smart football and kind of chip away. And at the end of the game, you lose and you don't even know what happened. It's just like these guys stuck to their formula. And anytime you play against Belichick and his teams, it's going to be, especially in the playoffs. He builds his teams for those situations. But Buffalo, obviously, that was a hard hitting game. It was exciting to watch. I think the city is, when it comes to New England, they take it personal. It was a long time that they had to deal with losing to Tom Brady in New England, and anytime that you get a situation where those guys will come to your house in the playoffs, it's going to be a tough one. And I think Buffalo came out with a little bit more passion and played a great game. And I think you're right. The Steelers, they seem to, it was all about Ben's last game at home. That's kind of what I kept thinking about. This game was just kind of just an extra game. It was more about sending Ben off and sending them off with some respect and love. And if they got this win, so be it. But they seem to be spent by the time they got there. So
yeah, and it's one thing. The last few weeks, it seems like Ben is retiring, but he actually hasn't verbally said he's retiring. It just sounds like he's done in Pittsburgh, but he could still maybe catch on somewhere else. Did you guys think his career's done? Like he's gonna hang him up?
I mean, there's a chance he can pull a Phillip Rivers, come back, Jay Cutler, to try with a new team to see if, he can get a new spark. But right now, I just think Ben is done, man. Dude's got 2 Super Bowl rings, phenomenal career. He can hang it up and be all right with what he's done. So, Phillip never won a ring. Jay Cutler never won a ring. So those guys in those situations, yeah, maybe I can get a new spark, try to get a ring with this team. But no, I don't think Ben needs to come back to prove anything like that.
So you just say he's done in Pittsburgh, you think?
I think he's done overall. I mean, I don't see him trying to go somewhere else to see if, a new team will give him a new spark. I just think he's done. But it's possible.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I see Big Ben right now sitting on his back porch smoking cigarettes and eating a pizza. He ain't even thinking about going back on the field. So back there like he's like, yeah. That's it. It's over. Yeah, he got to play. Yeah, his next move. Which is good. Hey, look, he'll do. I think he'll do a good job, maybe on TV or maybe whatever whatever Ben does. But I don't think I think he's done playing football. I do. Like I said, man, I think he's just been for the past couple of years. He's just been tired. His body's been beat up. That healing process, man. Look, we all been through it. We all done been through injury and pain. And sometimes, when that new season comes in, all season, you're like, "Dang, God, man, I got another season. I got to go through all this." So I had to get heavy on you, man. The quarterback, he's been beat up for a long time. So, yeah, I think he's done.
I think he probably should be done. I mean, when you think about it, I really don't know where he would fit. He's not like you mentioned Phillip Rivers, who was a little bit, he wasn't, I wouldn't call him mobile, but, Ben is definitely not mobile. And unless he can go somewhere where he can just, try to throw some deep balls and try to avoid some sacks, I don't know where he would really fit right now and all these different systems. He was kind of built for that, or Pittsburgh's offense was built for him. So,
There was a report, like, I think it was a couple weeks ago, when they were talking about, he was saying, well, I've actually never said I was retiring. It was kind of like an awkward, like, press conference when they were like, oh, your last game's coming up here. And he was like, well, I actually never said I was retiring. So it was kind of like an uncomfortable kind of like vibe during a press conference. Do you guys think, though, that like his career could have, I know we're talking about Steelers here, but if he had taken care of his body, do you think he probably could still play a little more? Because I mean, I think it was last year was the first time he said he like actually got him like an actual good like eating regimen before the season. And it was like I was thinking to myself, I was like, that the guy's been in the league for like 12 plus years. I mean, now he's like starting to like eat healthier. I didn't understand that.
Man, Ben is what, 18 years deep? Is that what he is?
Something like that.
Yeah, man, hang it up. You know, it's phenomenal to see what Tom Brady's doing. You know, there's not a lot of people like Tom, right? No. Mentally or physically. You know, Brett Favre did it. It's hang it up, man. Just let it go.
You said ain't enough fruits and vegetables in the world. Get yours right back.
Nah.
You probably called Tom like, hey, Tom, what's this TV tour? Hello? Tom done hung up on him like, shit. Hey, I can't help that guy. It's over.
Tom is aging backwards, man. I don't even. The guy looks way better than he did when he came in, and yeah, I don't know if. I mean, you could say Ben could have bought a couple more years, but Ben is, you know, he's that guy that's going to stand in the pocket, get a couple defenders hanging on him, make the throw, and so it was bound to happen at some point. You know, he kind of needed to be big the way he played. So.
I don't know, man. We might see some film next year. He's doing sprints at a high school or something, you know, trying to get himself back in shape. I don't know. You know, hey, if he does and he looks like he's slimmer, he looks like he's moving around, hey, man, more power to him, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
Hey, look, I'm like, you get another check in the NFL and shoot, you can do it. Go ahead, Ben. Be successful. But I know E said Jay Cutler. That's why I kind of laughed at it, because it's always quick.
I'm just talking about the guys that retired and came back. You know, I wouldn't. I can't. I'm not. I can definitely not compare Ben Roethlisberger's career to Jay Cutler. That's insane.
Right. No, I just pictured, you know, Jay Cutler always out there wide receivers with his hands on his hip. Not, you know, a sucker one trying to do nothing. So,
hey, Jay can throw a pretty ball though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, very good.
He used to bag some tens too. So
yeah.
Yeah, we'll see how Big Ben. You know, crazier things have happened. You know, we saw Tebow come back this past offseason as a tight end. So, you know, anything can happen. Anything's possible. But the next question is more the revenge factor. So this is kind of a debate I've read about and heard about this week. It's more so who's got more of the revenge edge. So earlier in the season, we played, you know, the Bills on Sunday night, got our asses handed to us 38-20. But if you kind of fast forward to the AFC Championship game last year, you know, the shirt I'm wearing right now, you know, we won that game 38-24, and there's the famous photo of Diggs watching our AFC Championship celebration. So there's kind of the revenge aspect from that point of view. But like you guys said earlier on the season, that was last year. It's a different team. It's, you know, it's really not. There's really not a lot of carryover there. But for maybe the star guys who were there last year, maybe there is a revenge factor. But where's the revenge edge kind of lie going into this week? Is it with the Bills or is it with the Chiefs going into this game Sunday?
I'll take this one, I guess. It's a tough one. I think it lies with the Bills. That was my first thought. You know, I think it is a different team from last year, but I think this team, when I look at them, you know, Josh Allen, you know, they got a good young team on both sides, but you know, they just seem hungry. You know, they're the ones coming from behind. The Chiefs are the ones standing on top. And I kind of feel like if I was a Bill, that's kind of how I would look at it. You know, these are, even though we beat these guys in the regular season, this is a whole new season. This is the playoffs. And, you know, these have been the guys. You know, they're standing on top of the hill. They're the ones to beat. You know, if we really want people to take us serious, this is a game that we need to show up. And this is how we quiet all the doubters right here. And you know, I talk about it. I've said it a couple times, but for this city, you know, Buffalo. I mean, this city really wants, you know, and I obviously Kansas City's got some of the best fans in in the world as well. But in Buffalo, they kind of need it, and where in Kansas City they want it. And I'm not saying that that want is weaker, because Kansas City is still going to show up and play a great game. But as far as somebody with a chip on the shoulder, I think the Bills would be the one.
I agree 100%. Like you said, they're chasing Kansas City. Whether they beat them or not in this season is almost irrelevant. Kansas City was in the Super Bowl last year. Right now, Kansas City's predicted to be in the Super Bowl this year. So, yes, they wanted more. Are they going to be hungrier? I doubt it. Kansas City is just as hungry for the way they played in the Super Bowl last year, for the way they started this season out, for all the, the crap that they've heard about where this team has been, kind of where they've gone through, the interceptions thrown by Pat, the drops thrown, by the receivers, all the news. So, yeah, both teams are hungry, but for the revenge factor, it's got to be Buffalo, because, the Chiefs are still labeled as that team to beat. We're on top. We got to the Super Bowl last year, not Buffalo.
All right, I'm gonna go the opposite side here with this, and the reason I say that is because I still believe that people don't think Kansas City is a true Super Bowl team. I still don't believe that they do.
That's hard for you to say, JD, when you've been the last couple of years.
But listen to me. What I'm saying is this, right? Because you always hearing it's always who's better than Patrick Mahomes, right? It's always Josh Allen, Herbert coming in. They're gonna name all these guys, Joe Burrows, all these guys are coming up, right? So it's always unseating Patrick Mahomes, and then all we see, like when they beat San Fran, y'all didn't win a real Super Bowl, win a real ring this time, and then of course playing against Tampa last year and getting embarrassed like they did, and then of course when Buffalo came in and beat them by that, man, they got embarrassed in their head, and so to them, these guys are like, look, man, you know what? Everybody keeps shooting for us. Everybody still don't want to give us our due. And it's like always the naysayers are right there, right around the corner. Like, I told you so. Y'all ain't as good as y'all thought you were. Patrick Mahomes ain't this, yada, yada, yada. And so I think these guys, because of what the outcome was the last game, especially at home, was really horrible. I mean, especially Kansas City, to think that. And so I think these guys like, look, man, you know what? What they did against us the first game was atrocious, and we can't let that happen again, okay? They came after us offensively. We couldn't really get anything generated like we should have. They was on Patrick all day, and Buffalo came in and did whatever they wanted to do. So that's why I feel like revenge game, Kansas City, because it's still like this. We're still trying to get their reputation. Even though we went to the Super Bowl, people are still doubting us. It's still always people just waiting and say, I told you so, I told you so. And it just seemed like it just has to be Chiefs haters out there all the time. It's just
I do get that, but JD, so far, I think most of the people, majority, professionals, amateurs, whomever, they've all got Kansas City in the Super Bowl. I mean, I get what you're saying, but whether they got us winning or not is a different story. But I think for the majority of people, they still have us reaching it to the Super Bowl.
Well, they didn't start saying that really until what? About a couple of weeks ago, E. That's the thing about
I get that, but still.
But that's what I'm saying. Like Kansas City, I think it's still like this mindset of still not feeling like, you validated. Even though you won the Super Bowl, you didn't win last two Super Bowls, right? It's always like somebody's coming after these guys are responding to them. Look, I don't know what the talk is, the conversation up in Buffalo. I can guarantee we know how great their fans are up there in Buffalo, right? I'm just saying, as far as like how we deal with things here in Kansas City, what everybody's thinking or how they're talking. And so sometimes, even if you win, right, it's still like that team. Even if you win, they still not gonna give you that due. They're not. Whether it be the Raiders or the Chargers, it doesn't matter. So Kansas City, I tell you what, if they lose this game, they're gonna be like, look, I told you they was bums. Everybody been talking about they was gonna win. You're gonna see all these guys come out the woodworks and just saying they ain't that good of a team. They're not. And so I think this right here is going to be Sean McDermott against Andy Reid, right? It's going to come down to that, man. And we're talking about this guy who's been up under Andy for a long time. And I love Sean. I had Sean, was up there in Philly, man. He's a two great coaches that's going to be going at it. They're going to have these guys ready. So this is going to be the ball out game, man. To me, without a doubt, this week, the game to watch. So it's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough one.
Yeah, to your point of like, calling the Chiefs frauds. I've seen a lot of that on Twitter, saying that their schedule, all their wins came against bad teams. If you look at the record wise, and then if you look at teams in the playoffs right now on the AFC side, Tennessee, Cincinnati, and Buffalo, those are all three teams that the Chiefs lost to. So we're kind of like, I do see what you're saying though. We are the betting favorite right now to win it all. So, or at least from the AFC side. So, but. Are players constantly looking at that stuff though? Or are you guys seeing who's the favorite to win it all? Like, is that something obviously?
Man, they didn't have that stuff when we played. If they did, I didn't notice it. We were reading the newspaper back then to see what kind of stats and stuff.
You was playing. You know who were the top teams in the conferences, no doubt about it, right? And you kind of figured who was going to be at the end, when the dust settles. So. I don't know. I know like I said, we was 13-3. I know we was projected that we should have won it that year. I know for a fact. So, it's tough, man. It's tough being up there. This real deal.
Yeah, I guess when you're at the top, that's everyone. Everyone wants to come for that and give their best shot, like you guys have been saying all year. So, regardless, the revenge edge, Buffalo's going to give it all to us this weekend. Okay, but with that, we're going to our final segment. That's the prediction. So now we're actually getting our game picks in. Chiefs will be hosting the Buffalo Bills at 6:30 Eastern Standard Time on CBS Sunday. It's the last game of the divisional round weekend. So the Chiefs are currently a 2.5-point favorite at home this week, which is interesting because mostly home teams usually get automatic 3 points. So they're giving us 2.5 points. It's kind of but Vegas isn't that serious about us. But what are your score predictions and who do you guys have this week, Kawika? Take it away, man.
Oh, man, I think it's going to be a shootout.
Really?
I think, yeah, and I don't know if I just take history into account. Every time I think a game like this where, they got some high-powered offenses, but they also have some defenses that play well and can show up. But every time I think that, I'm wrong. And it's usually a high-scoring game, and I feel like this week's going to be no different. I'm thinking something, man, I don't know, 42 to I don't even know where 31 comes into play, but I'm thinking something like that. Chiefs, yeah.
I'm going to go 27-24. I mean, I like where you're going, though, Kawika. God damn, I like where you're going. I wouldn't leave my seat if it's 42 something.
Yeah, I mean, the Bills, they got, like mentioned before, Knox, you got a tight end. Anytime you got they just have guys who can stretch the field. They can run the ball. Josh can get out of the pocket. I think that's dangerous against the defense that Kansas City, but I do think they'll be able to counter that. So I do think they'll be able to put up points, but I think Kansas City, I think the Chiefs will just be too much when it comes to the offense.
Yeah, I mean, I like the safeties out there in Buffalo, but 42 is. I mean, I hope we get 42 points. Yeah, but I'm gonna go with 27-24.
Okay.
It's gonna be a cold game too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna go 31-28. I think we're gonna be right there, man, with it. I think it's gonna be somewhat of a high-scoring game. I don't know if I'm 42 though.
What's the over right now?
It's the highest of the weekend at 54.
Okay. All right. Well.
What's the win?
Yeah. This time. Plus, man, it's gonna be cold out there. So having that and deal with that, I think, guys. I think it's gonna be a ballroom brawl, man. I do. I think it's going to be a brawl, but I don't think guys going to just score points like that. I'm saying 31-28 because I just feel like it's going to work out there with that somehow, some way. I feel like 4 touchdowns by each team, win on a field goal. I think with the Chiefs kind of going in, kind of going up, but I think Buffalo's going to try to come back at the end, to try to get the victory. But I think it'll happen 31-28. That's what I'm looking at. Kansas City.
Kickoff, it says it'll be 37 degrees, sunny, with 3 miles per hour wind. So the wind won't be a factor.
bad. Shoot, 37. Oh, yeah, that's summertime. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's a beautiful day right there.
It is. Summertime.
Yeah.
And I guess if you look at the games, just the last two, so the AFC Championship game last year, 38-24, so that was 62 points in that one. And then this year we played 38-20, so 58 points. So that's kind of, it's good. It could be a high-scoring game based on last 2 years of playing them.
I do think Cincinnati is going to beat Tennessee also.
Interesting. So you have Chiefs in Cincinnati in the AFC Championship.
Tough one. Oof.
I don't see that. I don't see Cincinnati beating Tennessee.
I hope so. I think.
I'm just giving you my opinion.
I get you. I'm just saying. I'm giving mine back to you. I got you.
Who's a better opponent for us in the AFC Championship, Tennessee or Cincinnati? Who would you want to see?
Cincinnati, I think.
We'll see both of them suckers, to be honest with you. Shoot.
Yeah, like you said earlier, we got a revenge factor. So Tennessee, I like to, get that payback for they got a good win on us early.
Yeah,
Cincinnati got a crappy win on us. But heck, I'll take either one.
That's right.
Yeah. On the NFC side, who do you guys have coming out about those matchups?
Oof,
I tell you, I think San Fran is going to steal this game too. So,
no, come on.
The Rams are going to win.
Come on, man. Aaron Rodgers, man. Green Bay.
Okay, it's still recording, right? Let me see.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's still recording.
Like I said, hey, momentum. I think San Francisco, they got a lot of challenges, but man, I think Green Bay is. Those dudes, man, they just seem to be, they're clicking, man. They seem to be thinking what the other person's thinking before 5 plays before it even happens, man. It's kind of crazy to watch, but it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough to beat Green Bay.
Hey, Kawika, do you have the Rams or do you have Buccaneers?
I got the Bucks.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think
he's in Florida, so he's got to root for the hometown team.
True.
Nah, man. Listen, I hate to say it, but over the past couple of years, I'm a Tom Brady fan. I got to tell you, which is not, it took a long time to say that just because he was typically whooping us up, especially when I was in Buffalo. But the way you see him, I mean, he's doing what he's always done. You trade in guys, get hurt, you put in another guy, he spreads the ball around, and he keeps doing what they. The running back gets hurt, they put another one in, and they do what they do. And I think both teams have legitimate defenses. Obviously, the Rams' defense is scary good with the guys they have out there. So it won't be an easy game, that's for sure. None of them will. It's playoffs, man. That's the beauty of it.
Do you think weather will play a factor for San Francisco going to Green Bay, or no?
Oh yeah, I do. I think it'll be a factor. Nobody like going up there at frozen tundra. I don't even know what's going to be up in Green Bay, but just the psychological aspect of just thinking it's going to be cold. Guys going to come out there long sleeve. Before the degrees, guys are going to come out there long sleeve. Sure, probably thinking. But,
man, I just think San Fran is peaking at the right time. So, I mean, that's just, again, I'm giving you my opinion. Whether or not cold, warm, I just think they're peaking at the right time.
I tell you what, if that defensive front does what they do against Aaron Rodgers, it's going to be a tough game for them. You stop the running game, those guys, it'll be tough. It'll be tough for them. Sure. I mean, Adams, it's going to be hard to stop him. There's everybody else around you who needs to step up. Jones is going to be hard. Let him get in his yards. Dillon is another one. So, no. It's going to be
that pressure. I feel like Green Bay has had some trouble with some of that pressure this year. And I mean, you're right. San Fran can do it. So,
yeah.
And Bosa's still in the concussion protocol right now.
He'll be fine by Saturday.
Yeah. The weather won't be a factor. I don't think the weather will be a factor though. I think the weather will. San Fran is cold enough that they. Green Bay is the whole nother level, but I don't think it tends to get warm when you're in those situations. You know what I mean?
And that adrenaline kicks in, bro. Y'all know how it is.
Oh,
Yeah, I think when we played the NFC Championship, it was like -24. It was that was something else, man.
That's a different code.
At Green Bay on Saturday, it'll be 11 degrees at kickoff, and 10 miles per hour winds at 8:00 Saturday. Hey JD, I don't think did you give Rams or Buccaneers for your other matchup?
I think Rams beat the Bucks. I think Rams, like you said, this momentum going into the game right now. And I think the Rams, man, I think they're clicking right where they need to be. So, Cup didn't really have a lot of catches last game. So, they get their running game going. The defense looks good. It's a great matchup against their receivers with Tom Brady. I think the Rams going to get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they shake up. This is the only thing. If Matthew Stafford doesn't get shaken, because he's been throwing a whole lot of interceptions lately, a lot. If they can shake him up earlier, Tampa wins easy. But if he can hold up under the pressure, I think the defense will do enough to beat Tampa.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see this weekend. All right, fellas. Well, that does it for us. Thanks for tuning in to Chief Concerns presented by BetOnline. Kawika, it was honestly awesome having you on, man. It was a pleasure getting to meet you, and we'd love to have you back, of course, right, guys?
Yes, sir. Hey, also, Mark, it's not Kawika. How you pronounce it, Kawika?
Kawika with a V.
Yes, okay.
It's complicated.
I remember when I was younger, my brother told me, he corrected me when I guess.
I was confused as hell, but Kawika told us that, he told us at I don't know if it's at the facility or what. It's like, yeah, man, y'all been pronouncing it wrong the whole time.
No, man. So my family called me Kawika growing up, and I don't know why, but it's pronounced Kawika. So when I had my son, I named him Levi with a W. So after I had my son, if you knew me post 03, it's Kawika. If you knew me prior to 03, it's Kawika. So either way, you're right, man. It's all good.
So when your kid goes to school, do everybody say Louis?
Nah, we call him Levi, man. Everybody.
Okay, so he basically lets them know.
Yeah, and that's why I told the media, and that's why I started telling people, because I was like, how am I going to name him Levi with a W, but call myself Kawika? I was like, I got to change this.
Because if most people read something that says Lewey,
yeah,
they're gonna say Louis.
Yeah. His friends call him Louis, but yeah, everybody else, we get it right.
Yeah. Well, man, I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, it's great, man. I appreciate you asking me.
I'm gonna shoot you a text. Send me those numbers.
Kawika.
Yeah.
Good seeing you, man. Good to see you, brother.
Good to see you, JD.
Yeah, man.
Have a good night, fellas.